And CJ Beathard, I still call him Beathard. I can't handle it.
Yo, what is up, dudes? Welcome to the Week 10 edition of Man's Maker. As always, I am your very humble and rich host, Pete Manzinelli, and we have on tap today a truly prestigious guest. You know him as one of the Roto Jizzers, okay? His name is Ben Gretch, and he will be on later to give us all of the things inside that beautiful brain of his. But before we can do that, it is time for some news and booze. For today's news and booze, Manz is taking a back seat. That is right. At this point, I need to turn it over to my dear friend and my attorney at law, Tex Manzinelli. Tex, you have the floor.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you. Yeah, I sure do appreciate that. My name is Tex Manzinelli, and as you guys might remember, I ran an ad on this here Man's Maker program a few weeks ago as the premier fantasy football attorney at law. If you've been wronged in the fantasy football space, it's time to act now and call the law offices of Tex Manzinelli. It's time we get fantasy justice for you. And let me tell you, business is a booming, folks. Business is a booming. I have a client. We are in a class action lawsuit against Mike Evans for getting suspended in such a pivotal week. But that is not why I am here today. No, I am here today because we have suffered a grave injustice.
If you or a loved one drafted a Patriots running back between the years 2000 and 2017, you may be entitled to fantasy compensation.
Patriots running backs have been linked to failed fantasy.
Well. Looks like the boys over at ESPN have started up a rival fantasy law firm. Well, ain't that just the cutest thing? I damn near fell out of my saddle when I saw that. I said, boy, that sure does look familiar. But look, I know what you're thinking. I've seen your messages. Everybody's like, Manz, you're going to send him to court. You're going to sue him for copyright infringement. And look, I personally just feel like I'm a little too close to the job. And that is why I am recusing myself of the situation. But do not worry, I am still going to get justice. It's just not going to be me. And that is why I'm pleased to announce I have someone new to represent Tex Manzinelli in this court case against ESPN. And that is my brother and my dear friend. He's the man for the job. I am proud to introduce you all right now to my brother, Rex Manzinelli. Thank you, Tex. I sure do appreciate that. Let me introduce myself to the fine folks at home if you are unfamiliar. I am Rex Manzinelli. I am, of course, the more older, smarter, wiser, brawnier of the Manzinelli brothers. But I don't sit in this ivory tower doing my lawyering stuff all day. No. I am a bounty hunter, and I am an enforcer. And when Tex told me about this case, about this copyright infringement that the ESPN fantasy people had launched their own lawyer and law firm, I said, no, Tex, I got this. And that's why I'm here today, to offer an ultimatums to the boys over at the ESPN fantasies. And look, I'm going to get this out of the way right now. I don't handle this like Tex with papers and a judge and a gavel and a bailiff and whatever other accoutrements are in a courtroom. No, I handle things in the streets. So here's what we're going to do, you cute little ESPN guys with your cute little fantasy show. We are going to rumble in the streets. Okay, you are going to meet me tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. outside of the saloon. That's what we're going to do. You bring your crew, I bring mine. Matthew Berry's, Daniel Daubers. Hell, if you want to bring that little string bean, Michael Clay, I don't care. You bring whoever you want, and we're going to wrestle to the death. We are gonna fight. We are gonna tackle each other. And whoever survives, that is who maintains the sole proprietorship of the only fantasy football law firm in town. Because when you made an attack on my brother and his law firm, you made an attack on the Manzinelli family. So you can leave your spreadsheets at home, suckers. We'll see you tomorrow.
then, moving on. It's now time for Pete's Tweet of the Week that brings the heat. Actually, nah. Screw that, okay? There will be no tweet of the week this week, all right? Because you want to know why? Twitter extended their character limits to 280 characters, all right? You no longer have 140, they doubled it. Everybody has 280 characters and whatever. Yeah, it sucks, dude. It's like I'm trying to read a novel on my Twitter timeline. It's like, chill out, dude. Write a blog post on medium.com and get over yourselves. But here's the deal. You want to know what's even worse than 280 character tweets? It's people tweeting about 280 character tweets. And you want to get real Inception level? We even had tweets about people tweeting about 280 characters, dude. I don't know what the hell is going on out there. All I know is after all of this 280 character drama, I needed a very stiff drink and a nice vape, okay? And look, for me, this is a non-story. In fact, I'll say it right now, until they give us 420 characters, okay? A much more very chill number of characters, I'm gonna protest. I'm gonna be using exclusively in all future tweets exactly 69 characters to cut down on the amount of characters on Twitter, and I hope you join me. Use the hashtag 69 characters and let's cut down on all this fat on Twitter. There you have it. That's the tweet of the week. Actually, it's the not tweet of the week. And now it is time to get to our very prestigious guest, Ben Gretch. Okay, welcome back. It is now time to bring on a truly prestigious guest. He's one of the fine gentlemen over at rotojizz.com. He's a contributor to Fantasy Dabs. And he's the man behind the epic, the sprawling, the rolling column, Stealing Signals. Ben Gretch, welcome to the program, my dude.
What's up, man? Glad to be on with you. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, dude. I'm doing well. I've been wanting to get you on the program for a while. You've been very elusive. You're in your cave typing away on your computers, dude. Tell me, so you write this column. Tell me how many hours a week. You do 2 editions. How many hours a week are you putting into this?
Oh, man. Actually, early in the season, I was interested in that question, and I was trying to kind of track it a little bit, and I realized it was taking me over 20 hours to do both of them. I mean, over 10, like probably 10 to 12 each. I've kind of just stopped counting at this point. I'm just grinding them out now. I mean, I know you're a big grinder, man. I know you know what it's like to grind.
That's right, dude. That's right. For me, it's kind of effortless, but I know for you normal people, you guys, you're in there, you're working hard. I have to ask, though, I know you're married, you're putting in 20 hours a week talking about fantasy football. Has your wife left you yet?
Possibly. I don't know. She might be backing up right now. No, I mean, yeah, she's back with the girls in the bedroom right now for me to do this. I mean, she's super flexible. She's incredible, but yeah, I mean, I do a lot of off hours writing. Sometimes I'll get up at like 3 a.m. and write a bunch before I go to work, and just like pound out 4 or 5 hours before the kids get up, and after they go to bed and things like that. So try not to impact her too much, and still spend time with the kids and whatnot, in the mornings and the night before and after work. But it's tough, man. It's tough.
So give me the value propositions, because if you're someone out in these internet streets and you're saying, I gotta read Silva's matchup column, I gotta read Reeves's notebook, I gotta read all of these things.
Better be reading those.
Why do I need to also take the time out of my week, my valuable time, to read Stealing Signals? You give me the hard sell.
Yeah, man. I mean, for me, what I'm doing, and it's kind of funny because this is a DFS show. We're going to be talking about DFS. And at this point in the week, I usually haven't dug into DFS too much, because what I do with that column, it's all early week stuff. And I spend so much time focused on all the data that has already been compiled. So I'm trying to go through and control it for, a lot of fantasy football analysis is just controlling data for, game scripts. You're going to hear that. Market share data is going to be controlling for the volume and the overall offense. I mean, we're controlling for different things, and then when we break down by quarter, things like that to look at when people are getting their touches, and just different ways of figuring out what the numbers that we've seen among the numbers we've seen, what is going to be most predictive and help us figure out what's going to happen in the future. Because so much, in the NFL, so much of the statistics we see, they're impacted by so many different variables. A lot of times it's, garbage time points or whatever it is, injuries to teammates. And then you look back at a game log and you see, this guy had this many targets, this many targets, and it looks consistent. But maybe this week his team threw 50 passes and he was, targeted 5 times. It's more of a game script volume situation that caused that. The next week he got 5 more targets, but a teammate was injured, but that teammate's back the week after. And you're like, oh, look, he's been getting 5 targets every week. I'm going to try this guy as my flyer. But the key for me is just like what I'm writing about is which statistics we should be thinking are going to help us predict the future, essentially. And yeah, man, I mean, I think the matchups column, the worksheet, those are killer every single week. What I'm doing is kind of looking backward more and saying, what can we learn from what we've already seen?
Got you. So how about this? How about you give us, because I know at the end you do a little Spark Notes version of the most actionable things, and this is very nice for us speed readers, us busy guys. Why don't you hit us with 1 or 2 of the juiciest nuggets from your research this week, things that can help us win our leagues going forward?
I mean, I think Curtis Samuel is going to have a good second half. I mean, I think he only got I think it was 5 targets in the first game after Kelvin Benjamin's trade, but there was a lot really low passing volume in the Panthers offense last week. I mean, that was a 21% target share. He jumped up over Russell Shepard, who's been playing as kind of the wide receiver 3 in the offense in terms of snap rate. He basically just stepped into Kelvin Benjamin's role as the second starting receiver opposite Devin Funchess. So I think he's going to get a lot more opportunity. He's somebody who, at this point in the season right now, has a chance to kind of emerge, and he didn't really have a big first game.
Nice. I like that. So there you go. There's kind of you get him the week after everybody wanted to be on him. That could be a good spot. How about this? This is this week's punt play du jour, okay? Everybody wants to talk about Adam Humphries, Mike Evans, suspended, for the cheap shot, and now everyone wants to play Adam Humphries at 3,100. Is he a DeMarcus Robinson piece of fool's gold, or is he actually someone who's going to pay off that salary?
Oh man, that's a great question, because I can see both sides. I think people are too excited on Humphries, but I also, for a while there, I was really excited on Humphries. He got some solid air yards numbers at least 1 week in there, and then the next week his air yards were gone, but his targets were all there. I mean, they were using him in different ways. It looked like they wanted him to be a part of their offense. But he's also the slot guy, if I'm not mistaken, and is going to be probably sticking to his role. I would expect him not to directly take over Evans' role, but rookie Chris Godwin to play a little bit more outside. He's been their 4th receiver so far. But the idea that because Evans is out, Humphries is all of a sudden going to see a ton of extra volume might be a little bit suspect. It might be kind of similar to that Panther situation where we saw Russell Shepard stay in his wide receiver 3 role and Samuel jump over him. That kind of thing could happen in Tampa Bay, but at the same time, I think Humphries is a little bit more talented than a guy like Russell Shepard. He's been a part of the offense. He's a more reliable target. We'll see what Godwin does, but I think Godwin could do all right. Obviously, Deshaun Jackson's there. You got the tight ends. I think Humphries could be a little bit of fool's gold, but I do actually like him a little bit as well. I'm going to definitely have some exposure to him, but I like Jackson more this week.
Yeah, it's tough. Everybody gets excited because we're all trying to save money. We all want to jam in Le'Veon. We want to jam in Fournette. We want to jam in Antonio Brown. And so that necessitates we need a punt play. But what happens is everybody starts fixating on the same punt play. The ownership rises and they become a bad play. I'm a little concerned that's what's happening with Humphries right now. I like the idea of maybe pivoting to Godwin. Godwin is, I think, $100 cheaper. And I like what you said there at the end. Maybe just going more heavy on Deshaun Jackson, on Cameron Brate, because, dude, I'm liking this Fitz action, dude. Fitz is cheap, Brate is cheap, Deshaun Jackson is cheap. Dude, you can do some 6 stacks if you focus on these bucks, and you don't even need Humphries to do it.
Absolutely. I mean, we're going to get to the stacks in a little bit, but I'm with you on the Fitz action this week. I'll just tell you that. A little teaser here.
Okay, well, hey, why don't we just do that right now? It is now time for the hit segment, Stacks on Stacks on Stacks. Now, Benny Gretch, you wrote an article this week for Fantasy Dabs about Matt Stafford and the Lions. Is that who your stack of the week is? Or are you going with a curveball? Are you piggybacking off of Manz's Fitzpatrick stack? What's going on here?
No, I mean that you're talking about the article where I deconstruct the Vegas lines and break down the implied points, and the title boy and the cover boy of that article was Matthew Stafford, definitely, and I think he's very stackable this week. I just made some comments, obviously, about Marvin Jones. You can probably guess that the guy that I want to stack him with is Golden Tate, who still had 7 receptions in 3 straight games, even though he's playing those lower snap rates. But my stack of the week is going to be Ryan Fitzpatrick, man. I'm gonna jump on there with you with Deshaun Jackson. Look, Fitzpatrick doesn't have a very strong arm, and people don't want to stack him with Deshaun Jackson. They want to stack him with Brate. They want to stack him with Humphreys, these underneath guys. But Deshaun Jackson has been doing a phenomenal job of getting open downfield, and Jameis Winston's been missing him. He's just been flat out missing him. Like, if you watch the tape, there have been way too many opportunities. And then he hit him on a long one a few weeks ago that got called back. Jackson is, like, if you look at statistics, like some efficiency statistics, like Racer is a good one from Josh Hermsmeyer over at airyards.com. It's receiver error conversion ratio or whatever. I don't know what the acronym is, but I know that it's the rate at which players turn air yards into fantasy points. And Deshaun Jackson, always a high air yards guy. His Racer this year, at least until a couple weeks ago, I haven't checked it in the last couple weeks, but it has been like a lot lower than it was historically. He's getting the air yards, but he's not converting them, and a lot of that's the quarterback play. I think Fitzpatrick could actually be a little bit of a boost for him. I mean, he doesn't have as strong of an arm. I know that's kind of crazy, but Winston is just, I guess, a boost over how Winston's played. He's not going to be better than Winston, but yeah, Fitzpatrick so far this year, he's played parts of 3 games, mostly 2 games, against Arizona and New Orleans, whose secondaries aren't terrible. And his AYA, his yards per attempt, his completion percentage, they're all basically right in line with what Winston's done in this offense throughout this year. They're all actually slightly above what Winston's done, Fitzpatrick, and what he's done in like, I think it's like a 50 pass attempt sample. So you have a quarterback here who I think can come in and do fine. I mean, I'm fine with using him here. And I don't think he's a huge, a problem for the value of the receivers. And then Jackson's a guy who I have been thinking for weeks now is due to blow up. Has been getting plenty of volume in this offense, and now you have Evans out. He's just going to get more volume. I'm loving it. That's a stack.
Now, I had Mike Tagliaires on the program a few weeks ago, and he told me a pretty epic Evan Silva's drinking story. They were at a meetup in Chicago. He was telling me Silva's was getting all worked up playing foosball. He was playing with a fan who wasn't carrying his weight. Silva was very upset, very competitive. Now, I know you have had an epic drinking night with Silva's. Do you want to give us any behind-the-look scenes at what Silva's like out in the bar scene?
He's an awesome dude. I mean, I had a blast with him. I mean, I kind of feel like if I shared too many details, I'd be like I'd be betraying his trust a little bit. But an awesome dude. Had a blast with him, man. We drank like $100 bottles of champagne just because. Like, I mean, it was a hell of a time. We went bar hopping, went to a couple different places, talked to a few different people. Kind of like a night out.
There you have it, boys and girls. You get that Roto World money. Next thing you know, you're getting bottle service with the Roto Jizzers in Chicago, dude. That's living the life right there. Okay, but I was asking you before we took our beer break, who's the player right now, your core guy? You just can't build a lineup without him. You build that Fitzpatrick stack. Maybe it's a running back, because we haven't talked about running back. Who's that guy you really like this week?
I mean, I can't get away from Carlos Hyde. I mean, his price tag's not really prohibitive, and CJ Beathard, I still call him Beathard. I can't handle it. In his 3 starts, he has targeted Hyde. I think it's like 22% of his targets. He's the leading receiver. I think it's 28 targets across his 3 starts. He doesn't press the ball down the field. I tweeted this out, I think, last week, but pretty much across the board, all the receivers' ADOTs have dropped. And almost been cut in half, at least going into last. Excuse me, drinking too much.
You can never drink too much, dude.
Right. Hey, cheers. At least going into last week, Bethard, or I mean, honestly, I don't know how to say his name.
No, dude,
but
we're gonna roll with Beat Hard, dude. We are never calling.
Let's just go with Beat Hard.
I saw a friend of the show, John Proctor's call CJ Fedorowitz's CJ Fedora Tips. I'm rolling with that.
That was good.
Fedora Tips and Beat Hard. Anyways, keep going.
They're playing the Giants, who looked like they didn't want to play defensive football last week. I mean, the Rams put up 51 on them or whatever. So I think this is a game the Niners are going to actually potentially have a chance to win. The Giants probably going to want to try and play to win too. But we've been hearing McAdoo's lost the locker room, this, that, the other thing. I think this is a great spot for the San Francisco offense to actually do something.
That's interesting. Okay, well, do you know where there's a chance that you and me might be able to put our monies where our mouth is? And that is in a little thing the people at home like to call the 69 Challenge. Are you familiar, Mr. Gretches, with the 69 Challenge?
Yeah, I'm a little bit familiar, but why don't you give me the reminder?
Yeah, we'll give you a refresher here if you're tuning in for the first time. I notoriously challenge each of my guests to a head-to-head on DraftKings. This is how it works. Everyone knows on DraftKings you get 9 slots, right? 9v9. This is how the 69 Challenge works, though. I pull out my 3 worst scores, effectively giving me 6 players to my guests 9 players. You would think, oh, the guy with 9 players is going to win every time. No, because I have beaten 2 of my guests so far this season. And here are the stakes if you should accept this challenge. If you beat me, as Danny Box did last week, I will shout you out on Twitter. I will share a link to your piece of work, and I will say, good job. Congratulations, you did what you were supposed to do. However, if the Manz beats you, as the Manz beat Peter Jennings on the Mount Rushmore of DFS, Mike Tagliaires from Fantasy Pros, then you have to shout me out on Twitter as the greatest DFS player of our generation. Do you agree to these terms?
Yeah, I mean, I agree to them. I feel like I'm destined to be number 3 on your list.
That's what we do. That's what we do. Well, Benny Gretches, thank you for coming on the program. Like I said, you guys got to check out his stuff. It's at rotoviz.com. Search Ben Gretch. Search Stealing Signals. It's a great column. It's a labor of love, as they call it. He pours his heart, his soul, his Mount Rainier beer into this project each week to give you the signal over the noise. I think that is a Nicholas Nassim Taleb quote or something. Very smart stuff over there at RotoJizz. Check it out. And you should also follow him on Twitter. He has one of the cutest Twitter handles of all time. It is an adorable pun. Yards per Gretch. He was so smug and self-satisfied when he changed to that name, and now you must reward him for that cute pun by following him. Is that correct, Ben?
Yeah, man. It took a little bit of thinking, a little bit of game planning. I knew Gretch rhymed with catch. Maybe it took me a month to figure out something decent, but I was definitely. It felt good. It felt good.
It should have. Well, again, thank you for coming on the program. It's been a pleasure. I will let you get back to your cave so you can start mashing the keyboard about fantasy things.
Will do, man. Appreciate having me on.
All right, get paid, get laid, Ben. Alrighty, thank you to Benny Gretches for coming on the program. Be sure to check out his work, his column, Stealing Signals. It's some good shit. But now, it is time for us to get to our favorite fan segment. That's right, it's the Man's Fans of the Week. And this week, it goes to a man who goes by the name of Mike. On Twitter, it's at 66_55. And this dude was in our chat during the Man's Millie Maker Sweat a few weeks ago. And he said, yo, dude, you got to hook me up with some of those Man's blockers. So I got him in the mail. And look at this dude's tweet right here. Get paid, get laid, hashtag man shades. He's got him on the dog. He's got him on himself. This is one cool cat, or should I say cool dog. Well done, Mike. You are the Man's Fans of the Week. Welcome to the family, dude. Everybody give him a warm welcome. And also, if I have sent you glasses, be sure to send me some photos of you in those shades. I need to see it, dude. I need to see you guys out in the streets wearing the Man's shades. All right, that brings us to my other normal weekly announcement. We have the Man's GPPete of the week going on. It's a 50 Man's contest again for week 10. That link is in the show notes. It's also in the description below. We're having a good time. I'll give you guys a little treat here. Adam Leviton's dear friend of the program is hopping in the contest this week. You got to take down the man, Adam Leviton's. You got to take down the Man's. We got some stiff competition in there, okay? We got some stiff competition, so sign up, get in there. That's lots of fun. Like I said on previous programs, anyone who wins one of these weeks will be eligible for a free roll hosted by the Manz. That's right, no entry fee, but Manz is putting up the prizes, so that's your incentive to hop in and win one of these weekly GPPetes. Otherwise, thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at Pete Manzinelli. If you want to see Pete's poker videos, you can see those at youtube.com/pokertube. Until then, we will see you next week. Get paid, get laid. Pete Manzinelli.
I've had enough of this bullshit. You want to do a staring contest, Stefania Bell? I don't care. Field Yates? You want to do a walk-off? You think you're some pretty boy male model? I need a beer. Someone give me a beer.